Salutations gamers and welcome back to an edited playthrough of the Viaria at Impera mod for Total War Rome 2. Our Roman Empire has made some fantastic progress over the last few episodes and we are rapidly approaching the endgame stages of this campaign. Politically and economically we are very stable, but we are suffering from some banditry issues that we'll attempt to start resolving inside of this episode. And after the Athenians declared war on us towards the end of the last episode, we'll be tackling those as well as one of the major enemies that we've been teasing for the last few episodes. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Welcome back to Greece, where in the last episode we managed to defeat 2 Athenian armies by Apollonia. Unfortunately, the settlement got sacked in the process, and we're currently in the process of rebuilding it. But in return, we managed to defeat both of them, and now have Greece ahead of us, and it looks like there's no armies in this entire region here. Athens, all the way up to Pella. We're going to take a look at that with our spy and then maybe press our advantage down here. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We also have 2 more armies on the way from up in the north in Illyria. Meanwhile, over in Spain, we are facing off against the Arverni still, who have amassed a lot of armies along the border, but I've decided that it's time we started fighting with them because we've been tying up a lot of our resources here. Unfortunately. So we have an army down here, we have 2 armies right here, we have another army in this direction, and there's more armies on the way after we defeated the Tulingi up here. So I think it's time that we finally did something about the Arverni, and it's very likely that we'll actually be going to war with them in this episode already. So starting off here, I want to move some of our armies from the Alps over into southern France. We'll move them right down into Italy, and then we'll group them up at Massalia and maybe a neighboring region just to make it a little bit easier on our supplies. Now, over in Greece, I want to try and engage in some diplomacy with the Athenians and see if we can't actually just client state them, because it's going to be very obvious to them after this fight right here that there's no way they're weaseling their way out of this. So let's try and offer them a client state agreement.
The day is
Hi.
already old and there is
And there you go.
So
Okay.
if you have words,
So you see, the balance of power at this point is very much in our favor in a lot of these wars. So we'll have an easy time client stating a lot of factions. We can actually ask them for a bunch of money here as well. 10,000 wealth. Probably no trade, but they'll come around eventually. So we'll accept this and just avoid a war over in this region entirely.
the god.
So I think what we'll do is we'll move a fleet up here, and then in the next turn ferry some armies over into mainland Italy. And this way they'll have supplies, although they might actually be able to make it within a single turn. I think we'll move these armies down as well. We'll just send a bunch of armies down into Italy, although these guys will send the other way just for supply reasons. It'll take a little bit longer, but that's fine. Now, meanwhile, if we're to fight with the Arverni, we're going to have to cancel some trade agreements with them. And I think also a non-aggression pact. So this will be a little while. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And this very much sets us on a war path now. There's no backing out now. We're going to make sure that our armies are ready to go. Move them to the border or close to it. I'm going to keep this army in the settlement for the time being. I am also going to replace 2 of these units here. These Ligurian spearmen have served us well in the past, but it is time that we replace them with some more competent units and some heavier equipped units like these spearmen, these local Iberian spearmen. And we're also replacing the Ligurian cavalry with some legionary cavalry, and we'll also get some of this ala Asturum, some Asturian auxiliary cavalry, which is pretty expensive, but I think might prove well worth the money. And then one thing that I did wrong in the last episode, I think somebody noticed in the comments, I thought I bought a ballista, but instead I bought another baggage train. So we're going to get rid of one of the baggage trains that I bought. I noticed that when somebody pointed it out. And we'll replace that with another unit. Oh, I could have bought a ballista here. Oh, well, we might do that next turn. Or maybe we'll just get something else. Okay, so as far as buildings for Empire go, You can see that there's not a lot of upgrades possible, but that's okay because in 4 turns we're going to get the seat selection, which is going to allow us to get that much more, not just food, but also just stability across our empire, because this also enables us to get upgrades for buildings like the grain silos, where if you get that level 4 upgrade, you can see that decreases local banditry, increases farming income, increases the army replenishment. So it's just a really nice building to have. We do still have a Tulingi presence up here, but they are probably going to get wiped out soon. In fact, let's chase them away a little bit. Okay, well, that works for me. And we're going to go ahead and ransom them for the time being, because we have quite a big slave population. I think we had some rumblings of an uprising. Okay, that's going to be it for this turn. Let's see what happens, especially with the Arverni, and whether the Athenians stay loyal to us. Although after 1 turn, they're not really going to betray us. I think they're going to remain loyal. Okay, so we're going to start moving our armies across into Italy here now that we have the movement. And that also allows us to take advantage of the local population supply. We'll get rid of these 2 Ligurian spearmen here as well. We'll be replacing them too. It's just about time we get rid of some of these units, as we're actually approaching imperial reforms already. We're almost at turn 200. Do we have anything available here? Illyrian auxiliary spearmen. How about that? Let's get ourselves some Illyrians. I don't think we have any Illyrians in our army so far. Okay, now I'm thinking maybe we should get an Illyrian auxiliary army, as we do have the level 3 auxiliary barracks. Getting another army here would be nice, and until then these guys can stay in position. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is use one of these generals here. Unfortunately, most of the candidates here are from the Cornelia, which, to remind you, that's us. And we're still on a quest to lose as much influence as we can after becoming an empire, to lose some of these negative modifiers. So we'll be using this random general from the Julia instead. And then we'll take a look at the units here. So we have the Illyrian heavy auxiliaries, which are obviously slightly worse than legionaries. It's not a whole lot. You lose some melee defense, a little bit of melee attack, and they're not, they don't have as good morale. Okay, so we have 3 different types of cavalry here. First of all, obviously, our Ala Legionaria, good old trusty Ala Legionaria, is very nice to have even in this army. So we'll get 2 of them. We're also going to get one of these Illyrian auxiliary cavalry units, which is kind of a ranged sort of medium cavalry hybrid, without anti-cavalry bonus, but decent stats overall. So these guys can skirmish and then do whatever we need them to do, really. And then we'll also get some of these Dalmatian light cavalry, which is, first of all, a little bit cheaper, quite a bit cheaper, like half. But having a bit of light cavalry is always a good idea, just to harass some of the back line that the enemy has, and also chase units away. We'll get ourselves a baggage train, some spearmen. And then I think we're also going to try some of these Sika bearers here, which is a unique unit that you have down here. Some of the Thraco-Illyrian Sika bearers, which has a little bit of armor penetration. It's not quite axe armor penetration, but it looks like these guys are sort of a hybrid between sword units and axe units, which is something you'll see a lot in Divida et Impera. So if you compare it to the Illyrian heavy auxiliaries, the Sika bearers have a little bit more armor penetration. Okay, we're moving our troops here to the border, and this one outside of the settlement, just so they don't get sieged down while the other army gets attacked. And we're pretty much ready to invade over here now, meeting the Arverni army that's already lounging across the border. This is going to be a tricky fight, as they are more experienced than we are, way more experienced, and the Kingetoi, as well as the Argoi. The Kingetoi are the slightly worse ones. These are just the shield wall. These are the noble shield wall, so better armor and everything. This is a pretty decent army. They have some Oathsworn here, some mercenary warband, although very little cavalry for a Gallic army in my opinion. Now over in this army here, we need 2 new cavalry units, And what I'm going to go for here is the Ala Gallorum, the Gallic Auxiliary Cavalry. This is one of my favorite cavalry units in the game when you're playing as Rome, for the simple reason that they are both a unit that you can use against enemy cavalry with the stats that they have. Good armor, good melee defense, decent melee attack, a decent combination with the cavalry anti-cavalry bonus. But they also have ranged weapons and a decent amount of ammo with the bonuses that we have. So two of these units are going to be both great for skirmishing, at least a little bit, but also they are going to be great against the enemy Gallic cavalry. In this army down here, we do need some more spearmen, and I've decided we're going to get some of these Macedonian auxiliary spearmen. And we're also going to replace Sardinian archers and get some of these local archers here, which are much better. The Cretan auxiliary archers. 18 missile damage, beats what we had before. Shots per minute of 9 is higher by 4. I think the other archers had 5. They do have a slightly shorter range, it seems, but I think that is well worth it. Plus 41 armor. Okay, so Pergamon wants a defensive alliance with us. Unfortunately, they're asking for quite a bit of money for it. We can afford it. And I actually think that it might not be a bad idea. Going for this alliance only has benefits for us, because it stabilizes this region here a little bit more, makes our border more secure. Also makes it so there's no war between Athens and Pergamon, for example, where these two could fight each other. I'm gonna think twice about that if we have a defensive alliance with Pergamon. Alright, our spy down here in Egypt, we're gonna send her to Orgala now, see if there's an army here, but it looks like there's just nothing going on here along the border. So a quick look at politics. You can see our influence is still very high. It is, I think, trending down right now. It would be nice to see like what direction the influence is moving and by how much roughly. Like a guesstimation would be nice to have. But I think we're probably losing influence still. You can see we're still getting the Whispers of Tyranny debuff, so reduced public order across the board. I'd really like to get back to overly influential at the very least. Also to lose the negative 10% morale debuff that we have right now, which is pretty bad. Getting back to this would be nice, and obviously ideal in my opinion is respected in the Senate. Right, now that'll take a lot of influence loss, so it'll be a while until we do get to that point. Until then, we'll just have to promote other factions' characters. Okay, we finished our seat selection research, which means we have a lot of buildings available to us now, which we'll take a look at in a moment. If we take a look at the technology tree, the next thing that I'm going to get here is the Imperial unit upgrades. We're not quite at turn 210 yet. I thought it was 200, but I just realized 210. But we are Imperium level 7, it's not far off, so I might as well get that out of the way. And then we'll get the provincial Romanization, which we primarily want to get because it allows us, first of all, to reduce the upkeep of all of our armies, which we have a lot of at this point, so 5% is pretty noticeable. But also it gives us access to the level 4 auxiliary garrison. Now you'll notice that if I go through all of my regions here, I have spammed auxiliary garrisons pretty much everywhere. Wherever we go, there's an auxiliary garrison. And part of the reason why I'm doing that is because, first of all, it gives me access to local auxiliary units with the auxiliary system that's unique to the Romans. But it also means that there's a bit of banditry reduction, as you can see. This gives us -8 banditry, and if we get provincial Romanization, this gives us access to the 4th building here, which will mean that we get -16 banditry. So part of the reason why I'm getting the granary in a lot of these regions first, with the money that we have available, is because it's going to balance out the banditry that we'll get from the latifundium, at least one of these for this stage. We'll have to be careful in regions where we expand more than one of these. Again, just keeping an eye on the overall banditry levels. Having some banditry is not the worst thing in the world, but if you can avoid it, why not? And that is all of our money this turn spent. As you can see, 170,000 wealth is really not all that much, all things considered. Meanwhile, we have our armies here almost ready. These guys need a baggage train, and then we're good to go and sail down into Egypt. I'm also going to cancel the trade, which hurts a little bit because they are a great trade partner. It's going to take a little while until we'll be able to attack them without too many penalties, but it's fine. We'll wait that out, maybe spend some time raiding them. So I've thought a little bit about how we're going to deal with the Arverni, and the strategy that I've landed on is that we will try to overrun them as fast as we can in as many places as we can, which is also why we have so many troops across the entire border. As we share so much border with them, it's going to be really hard for them to defend if we press really hard. We'll move another army up here. We'll have 3 armies here, and this is sort of the spearhead for our attack. And the main reason for that is that Gallia, this region here, is what we need for our military objectives, for the military victory. So if we manage to take out Gallia, I'm honestly happy just going for a peace deal with the Arverni, right? And then I don't really have to worry about them too much anymore. So if we can push in here, take Bibracte, take this place, take this place, this place, this place. It doesn't matter as much what's going on down here. Whether we manage to take this part of Spain or this part of France, I don't really care too much about that. I just want Gallia. And that's what we'll focus on, with 3 armies pushing in here and also us cutting them off at Burdigala. Okay, we have finished our Imperial unit upgrade, so we're immediately going to start the provincial Romanization research now. And as soon as we get to turn 210, we should unlock our Imperial reforms, which is going to be very nice. And over here, we can move our armies into the sea now. Move them through Syracuse. All together, ideally, with the fleet. And we'll send them down into, or well, close to Egypt, close to Libya. If we take a quick look at the balance sheet, we can see that we are making about 127,000, 128,000 per turn, and we're losing about 117,000 per turn rounded up. I know that a lot of people have found ways to really min-max Rome 2's economy a lot, and especially more experienced Rome 2 players will notice that I'm not doing anything crazy, right? All of these regions are built in a pretty conservative way. In a lot of cases, opting for more safe options rather than more income-oriented options, because this just allows me to not really bother with these regions much anymore. You see, we have so much public order down here, 30. We have 13 over here. So what I'm trying to say is this is a very general, safe approach that I'm taking to building construction that you can absolutely min-max more, and then you know, could very easily be seeing way more income than I am right now. Oh, a noble death. Legio 2 Equestris. I think that was our party member. I think we're going to replace him with one of the Cornelia. Not that the game really gives us much of an option here. Well, we could recruit some of these guys. One of these guys, but unfortunately we don't even have the money, as this was going to cost us 16,000 wealth. Roughly 17,000 wealth, which is kind of crazy. So I think we'll just go with one of our own. For example, Servius Cornelius Mergus. That's also something that I recommend, right? Because in Rome 2, you don't really get much information when generals die. If you're unsure, just take one of the ones that are free. And then after you're out of here, you can still go to, you know, we saw that was Legion 2, right? Blah, blah, blah. Right here. You can still go over there, and then you can replace the general that we've just placed right here. You can find someone better, or as soon as you have someone available, place someone better. Which is a good way to make sure that you have actual useful generals. Because this way you can also take a look at the faction tab, take a look at politics and so on, and then decide who you want to place. And it hasn't really cost you anything. Okay, I've upgraded as many units as we can, and next turn we'll be going to war with the Arverni.
We live for battle. We dream of it.
Media Michichi, huh?
Others do a fat goose, and you look plump.
Okay, so the Media Michichi just declared war on us. We're not going to call any of our allies here. The Nervi did not join them, which is good. Unfortunately, I think we're going to lose the settlement here. They were camped along the border for so long, I decided to move our armies away, and now I'm paying the price, apparently. I'll have to turn around and retake this, which might actually stall our Arverni invasion. Alright, Well, this is double bad. Oh no. Okay, so we are in the negative here. Latium missing taxes. This is why banditry is bad in your biggest regions. As you can see, banditry is sort of out of control, which is why we really need that research there. Let me get that out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and try and go for a peace deal with the medium Mechuchi. I think they might end up regretting that choice.
To sweeten truth with honey.
No.
Speak plainly, and I will deal honestly.
Okay.
Flatter, and you fail.
I'm going to demand some payment here. Fortunately, they don't want the peace enough for client state agreement, but we are just busy with the Arverni right now. What we're going to do this turn, as we're missing some taxes from Latium right now, is that we're going to start raiding with a lot of our armies. And you can see our money is actually overall not going up that much. And that's mostly down to... we don't have enough movement over here. That's mostly down to us having some logistics costs as well, right? Part of the reason why we have big expenses right now is obviously also our armies that are at sea currently. All of them together too, it doesn't really help. So, I want to get them to land as soon as possible. Alright, now I think it's time for us to launch our invasion here. We have no Arverni army over in Bibrakde, which I think makes this a tempting first target. We might take a little bit of a reputation hit here. Nope, never mind. Cancelled everything soon enough. And then we'll start sieging this place. Actually, we'll get the light siege tower, because why the hell not? And some more ladders. Block this off, and we'll siege down Bibrakde. I want to stay out of the range of the settlement. Maybe we can get an ambush battle here. That would be quite good. So we'll put this army right there, and then we'll move this army over here. So, worst case scenario, they sneak past our ambush and attack us over at Bibrakde, which I don't think is going to happen. And otherwise, we'll have a 1v1 right here with a fairly inexperienced legion overall, I have to say. Not the best spearmen against a very experienced Arverni army. Now, meanwhile, over here, this army can't move as it's in the influence of the Golden Talks. I think this is actually the army that the Arverni start with, right, if I remember correctly. We're going to go ahead and launch an attack at them, and I think they're going to retreat. Yep. There's another army in Bodigala. Stationed over there right now. Fortunately, that does mean I think this settlement is open. I think this army that was here moved over to Bodigala. So I think we're gonna push over here and take this place out. I think we'll do the same thing and siege over in this place. Meanwhile, down here, we are not going to attack them, again, because the Arverni army is just quite powerful compared to our auxiliary army. So we'll hold back in this specific spot. I'm going to move the Illyrian army that I moved up here just to get some ranged units. I'm actually going to move them up to Octoduran, just in case the medium Metrici turn around again. We'll get some ranged units here soon, as we have some money once more. You can see the transport costs are eating into our budget. Now, let's put our little units at like to land and see the difference, right? Because we have a lot of armies moving around. You can see this immediately gave us back 1,000 wealth. These guys also going to be able to land. So these are the transport costs, right? See how much of a difference that makes? It's pretty massive. This army is going to need one more turn. This fleet is landed, so pretty much good to go. Now we're in the positive. You see how much of a difference that made? Our navy is at land. Or, well. So you see how much of a difference that made? We're now getting 4,000 when earlier we were in the negative. Just getting these units back at land reduces transport costs, which means we're looking pretty good again now. Logistics in Divided Empire is also something you can track via the summary screen up here in the politics screen. Scroll down and you'll find logistics. You can see that we're currently losing -20 food from the global food supply from the supply lines that we're building, right? And the more supply lines we build, the higher our logistic costs, which is also why we are currently losing a lot of money on logistics, because we have a lot of armies in enemy territories. Given the fact that there's an army encamped in Burdigala now, rather than up here at Aracilium, I think it's a good idea for us to actually move back. I would say close to Toldosa. Because there's a good chance that there's another army over here somewhere, and there's also this army, so I probably have enough movement to move down here, given these are upgraded roads too. This army attacks us, and then another army comes in, and suddenly we're in a 3v2. So I'm gonna move back here. Just said behind Tolosa. Still close enough to put pressure on them and make it so they can't move these armies away. Hopefully we can bait an ambush battle up here and get this done. Now, in all honesty, we should probably take this battle right here, right now. That's an 89% battle. I don't want to bore you too much, so we're going to go for a balanced stance auto-resolve here. Okay, so there's an army here along the border. See, this is what I mean, right? There's an army that was hidden here. I thought this one was the army that was in Aracilium, but as you can see, that is not true. There's actually the army on the border. Slightly imperfect information that we were working with here. Okay, so we're now being raided from Burdigala, or that region, which makes sense. That's fine though. We're gonna let them continue raiding. I'm not gonna get baited over there and try and defeat them and then be fighting in a 2v1 with two diminished armies. Okay, we're gonna land this final army here down in Africa, and I think we're gonna send these armies over to start raiding our future enemies here a little bit, which will put some money back in our coffers. All right, we're gonna move our fleets over in this region as well, as we can also use them for raiding. Although I think we'll move this fleet right here first, as they had 1 turn of resupply, right? While this army right here can only stay 5 turns. So we'll send them over to this place. And meanwhile, start raiding over here. Athens, Bithynia, Pergamon. Well, let's see whether we get any negatives with them if we start raiding here next turn. Unfortunately, not enough movement this turn. Now, one thing that we can also get on our dignitaries at this point is Expert Supervisor. I think we have that on a lot of them already. Unfortunately, this guy isn't high enough level for that yet. So I'm going to go with the cultural conversion, as this place is only at 62% at this point. So maxing that out will take a little bit more cultural conversion. Now, as far as Egypt goes, we're going to continue raiding them for the time being. As you can see, our spy isn't spotting any troops pretty much all the way until Alexandria. So that's 4 settlements. It's essentially this entire region of Libya. It's just, there's nothing going on unless there's an army here along the road. So if we do decide to attack them, and we attack Kyrene and Orgala at the same time, we'll be able to push through kind of parallel, take out these 2 settlements, and then split up our troops, right? Some troops can go past Ammonium down here along the road and then move into southern Egypt, while 2 of our armies can push along the north, where they can also take resupply from our ships. And then we can hopefully battle the Egyptians close to Alexandria and take that place as well. Okay, so this is the garrison army attacking us. Again, we're gonna auto-resolve this. I'm hoping for at least one like major difficult battle. Alright, we have some slums in Bibracte. Unfortunately, no, there's not much I could have done about that. We're getting rid of some of this stuff here. Don't need these buildings. So, Mediometricia along the border here. We're gonna move our Illyrian army into our own region here. They also took some winter attrition, and that is what it is. Let's see, any ranged units available here? We have some skirmishers. Vindelition. Alright, well, we'll take some of these skirmishers. Better than nothing, put it that way. Actually, we can also get an artillery piece, but I'm gonna hold on to that money for now. We have more important things. Next turn, we'll have a lot more money with 39,000 coming in. Let's use our spy before we do anything hasty here. Ah, there we go. Okay, so that's 4 armies in total down here in this region, which makes sense for them to protect this, because if they get cut off here at Budigala, they are kind of screwed because their empire is cut in half. I do think that means we should be pressing a little bit down here, put some pressure on them with both of our armies. And I think we should also make sure we upgrade both of these. I am hoping that they are going to lose 1 army right here by attacking us and us getting an ambush. It will still be a difficult battle, but it's definitely winnable, even with an inexperienced legion. You can see pretty much all of our generals, the first things that I'm getting still are military logistician, rightful sovereign, and unwavering patriot. I just max all of that out, and that is a tremendous positive impact on our public order across the board. But also the empire maintenance reduction is just really nice to have. And then usually the next thing that I get, with the Romans at least, is trained swordsman, which gives us the melee bonuses. So not much about that has changed. Fortunately for us, it's winter right now, so they're struggling. Oh, intercepted. This is very tricky, as they have not only a very experienced general, they have very experienced troops. We have a very inexperienced, if incredibly equipped legion. Except for some poor spearmen here. I think this is winnable, but it's gonna be tricky. My friends, it is a foggy day in Gaul. Very foggy. And we have aligned our army here. We have 3 units of cavalry, 2 of which are our legionary cavalry and our general on the side. Then we have some spearmen here. These are Thurio spear units. And we have legionaries, obviously, lots of legionaries. Unfortunately, no veteran legionaries, so our reinforcements in the back are just regulars. We have our Corps Prima, as always, in the very center of our army to provide our encourage bonus. And a nice sturdy wall that is probably going to get peppered with ranged weapons once more. More legionaries, spearmen, and then on the other side we have 2 cavalry units. Then we have some archers in the back. So, pretty standard setup. Let's advance and see what we can find. As you can see, this is not an ambush battle, so you got found out. You got intercepted, which is unfortunate, but this is still winnable. We'll advance into the fog. I'm going to use some of our cavalry here to sprint along the left side and maybe spot some enemies. We have to be a little bit careful here. So our enemies are fielding some Celtic savage dogs over here, some war dogs. I'm not too concerned about those with our very sturdy legionary frontline. If these guys run at us, they'll eat some javelins and reconsider. We have some Gallic slinger spearmen over here. These guys actually get a bonus against cavalry, and they are ranged. So, pretty good. We have some heavy skirmishers over on this side. So these guys can also perform in melee, as you can see, 13 melee attack. And then on the other side we have some hunters, so a wild mix of skirmishing units. Then we have some soldieroi, which we'll probably see a lot more if we're going to fight the Arverni for a while. Soldieroi are the Oathsworn. So I'm going to pause real quick just to talk you through these units. These are the Oathsworn, which is heavy melee unit that is probably one of the best units that the Arverni have access to overall. Then over here we have the Argoi. These are shield wall spearmen, so a very sturdy unit that can fight in a front line and hold off the enemy for quite a while. They can actually form a shield wall as well, as you might have guessed. So these are the Argoi. There's also another unit that's called Kingetoi. I'm not sure. Yeah, they have some of these back here. You see, they are just worse armored. Overall, it's not a major difference. It's 13 armor, so these guys are still sturdy, but they're not quite as elite as the Argoi for the Celts. On the sides we have some late heavy cavalry. So these guys are very well equipped, decent in melee, actually very good in melee with 22 melee defense. If we hover over our Ala Legionaria, we only have 17 melee defense. They also have incredible morale for Celtic units. Just all around really scary. Then we have some Idui free horsemen, which are considerably less scary overall, but might pack a punch if they get into our back. Alright, let's continue. Overall, we mostly just need to make sure that the enemy cavalry doesn't do anything stupid. especially this unit. I'm not too concerned about the light cavalry. We have our spearmen on either side. These guys need to sprint in position as the enemy is rapidly advancing. Gonna use our 2 cavalry units here to stop this push. And we're gonna actually keep this cavalry unit that ran around to scout, pushing into the enemy's back. Alright, there's some war dogs running at us. Not too worried about that. Let them do that. They're gonna take javelins and that will be just completely fruitless, as you can see. Although, maybe that would have been better used on some enemy infantry. It is what it is. Enemy cavalry is wasted here. We're gonna run into that with some of our legionary cav, and the other units we're gonna flank with. We stopped the enemy cavalry push. Actually, they're trying to get around us here. We're gonna use some of our reserves to make sure they don't attack our skirmishes. I'm not gonna push in here as we still have the enemy cavalry unit, the general back there. I think actually with 2 cavalry units, 3 cavalry units will be fine. So let's wait until we take these guys out. Our spearmen did a good job over here. Shall we continue chasing that? Okay, this is a little bit concerning. We're going to use our reserves here to make sure we block this off. Send our spearmen back there as well. And let's make sure that our front line is fully engaged. We're not going to flank around here. There's too many units back there still. Alright, we have 3 units freed up here now. I think we're going to try and hunt down the enemy general. I'm going to send these guys into the enemy skirmishes, but these 2 cavalry units are going to hunt down this general. Alright, I think it's safe for us to flank around now. And we're going to send our spearmen here to attack these mercenary hunters in the back. This is not the general. This is the mercenary warband. I think the general is like in the middle of this. Pushed forward a little bit. That's fine. We're gonna keep our veterans, sorry, not our veterans this time around. We're gonna keep our reserves back. This is the enemy cavalry unit I was a little bit scared of, but they didn't really do very much. They, I think they weren't used very well in this situation. You see that the enemy infantry here is forming a shield wall. This isn't really connecting. Over here, it's doing a better job. Functioning pretty much like a phalanx formation. And it's very efficiently sort of holding us off, right? So these units are a challenge even for our legionaries. I think we're gonna try and cycle charge this. These are the slinger spearmen, actually, so let's get out of here. I completely forgot about those guys. Looks like the enemy cavalry just randomly moved through our formation, which is lovely. Happens sometimes. Welcome to Rome 2. We're gonna use our reserves to stop that from happening. We'll reinforce our front line here, and then we'll just continue cycle charging with our cavalry. We have lots of cavalry units in the enemy's back now. Okay, they're trying to get us out of there, disengage some units, but we're gonna continue charging. Let's charge in 2 different spots just to use our units efficiently. Enemy general is wavering now, which is great. It's gonna recommit these units. Oh, there's some units flanking around right here. Unfortunately, nothing I can really do about it as I don't have any reserves, but they're disconnecting from the front line over here and moving to the side. We routed a unit here. I'm gonna move back. These guys are also going back home. We could try and charge these guys again, but you see it's kind of a problem with for our cavalry. Slinger Spearman is such a nasty combination, no? So they're just sat in the back and you can't really do much against them with your cavalry. I mean, you could run in there. We could probably rout them if we brute forced it. But imagine an entire backline of these guys. That's nasty. And you can see Argoi, they're going to be fairly sturdy units. They're going to hold a lot, even against our legionaries. And repeated cavalry charges, as they have very decent morale, right? 59 morale, 58 obviously boosted up by the battle going on. Ooh, general came back. Enemy general, that's our archers hit. We'll move our general in there and go for an inspire. They're now blocking off the back here with some Argoi, which does mean that the front line is a little bit more wonky, which allows us to move in there. Could have probably used the infantry on the side here a little bit better. I think we can go for a charge right here. This is open. Alright, that's the general gone for good. Unfortunately, we lost about 50 archers just from that one charge. So overall, this was a pretty good battle. You can see our infantry suffers a little bit more against units like the Argoi, but still performs very admirably. We've lost a few units here, but for the most part, for being such a standard infantry unit, the Marin Legionaries beating the Argoi in many places is pretty scary for factions like the Celts. In fact, I think Argoi and Solderoi, like all the Oathsworn and so on, kind of the only way that these factions can really deal with Rome. And if they field any weaker units, they just need to mass those up on the battlefield. Alright, and that is one Arverni army out of the way. We're gonna enslave these guys as we do have some spots free. Boost our economy again a little bit after we almost went bankrupt last time around. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we can really do anything with this victory straight away. We should reinforce our army, send them down into this region, get some troops back in there, and hold on to Bibracte for a while longer. So I think what we should do here is actually attack this Arverni army that's reinforced along our border. And this is another auto-resolve. This is a 2v1 and we are massively superior. So we'll just get that out of the way. Enslave these guys as well. And then we'll fall back as I don't really want to fight these troops. Okay, so these armies here, I think we're going to move to the border. But still in range of the settlement. So they can't just attack the settlement, as both of these armies are going to get pulled into that. But we're also in range of the settlement over here. So over here we're going to get the consecrated ground and the public forum, and then eventually we'll focus on industry in this region. Okay, as you can see, the Arverni are a little bit paralyzed by the amount of stuff going on here, and they haven't moved from Bordigala. I don't know if there's much they realistically can do, to be honest with you. I would like to have more information before we move in here, but we do have this extra army ready now. We do have to be a little bit careful with the Medium Medici, as they could just declare war on us again, but I'm gonna take the risk. We're so close to the settlement as well that I don't think it would be much of a problem. In fact, let's move this army around and already get them close to Octoduran, just in case we get betrayed. It's more likely than the Loigars attacking us at this point, I think. Now, Aracelium will continue building out. We'll go for the extra marble here. We'll get ourselves a grain pit. I think Tarraco will probably change this to a fishmonger. I was originally going for a trading port here, but I think that was probably the wrong idea. I think we'll get a fishmonger. Now, another building that we can get to reduce banditry across the board is also the upgraded supply warehouse, although we have fewer of those standing around overall. It's probably a good idea to get these in more places than I have done as well in your campaigns. Probably a good idea. Over here we can get one in Medlan. In general, the supply complex scales really well with any agriculture that you already have. Now, one of our navies I'm going to send back into the Ionian Sea over here, close to Taris, as we have some pirates along the coast. I want to deal with that as soon as possible, get them out of here. Meanwhile, we have more armies down here in Egypt now, ready to start raiding, including these guys. Let's hope they're not going to take attrition, please. Alright, no attrition, we did it. Let's start raiding the Egyptians. We have to remember that our income is probably a little bit inflated right now, overall. When we stop raiding, we'll take some losses. We're also going to start raiding over here with our navy. They only have 6 turns left. We'll need to track that, which is something that I'm really bad at. Alright, that's pretty much it for this turn. Let's see what the Arverni can cook up and see how they defend themselves. Next turn, we'll have 3 armies ready next to Bordigala to push deeper into Gallia. Ooh, there's the Arverni attack. Hello. Okay, so that is a 2v2. Two very mixed armies. Let's go for it. Okay, here we are on the battlefield. I'm already moving our army into position next to the reinforcements that are coming in from the side. Army is pretty standard. Of course, Prima. Up front we have some Marian Legionary Javelinmen. We have our veterans in the back reinforcing. On either side we have Ala Legionaria as well as the Ala Gallorum, so our Gallic auxiliary cavalry, which are pretty excellent, and they also look kind of cool. And then on either side we also have our Alpine auxiliary spearmen, which are flanking our legionaries, making sure that no cavalry gets into our flanks. Meanwhile, on the hill over here we have good old hoplites, and these guys are kind of outdated at this point. Not hoplites in general, but this particular army has been around for quite a while, using some units that are not exactly up to spec. But we do have some interesting units here. For example, these Celto-Atlantic infantry, some thorax swordsmen pretty much. I'll put them on the side. Let's make sure we match the enemy front line here a little bit. Our legionary javelinmen are in position, ready to pepper the enemy. And I make sure that I put all of these units into melee. And we're gonna sit back a little bit. Our general this time around is in a unit of Praetorians, so a little bit less mobile. And that's the enemies flanking us. We have our spearmen on the side, ready to counter that charge. We're gonna run in here with our auxiliary cavalry and our Ala Legionaria, and we'll also send our spearmen in support straight away. This is going to be pretty easy to win, especially on this side as we outnumber the enemy. There's our legionary javelinmen throwing their javelins. So the legionary javelinmen I kind of like in the front lines like this because they're not too susceptible at, getting charged. Also because they have an anti-cavalry bonus too. So even if they do get caught out because you didn't pay too much attention, it's not that bad at the end of the day. So like right now, I didn't do that intentionally, I promise. And I also messed up my front line here. I'll get you out of here. Ugh. You can see they didn't take any casualties, although my lines are now a little bit messed up. I think we're gonna charge in here. Block this off. Go for this. There's reinforcements coming in all the way back there, so we have some time right now. On reinforcements also getting into position. Looks like we've routed the enemy on this side here with our spearman cavalry combination. We're gonna close this gap here with our veterans, make sure nobody trickles through there. This is why it's a great idea to keep units back, right? Gaps like this are just going to form sometimes when it's a bit more chaotic on charge. And then you can close those gaps. So our legionary javelins are going to continue throwing javelins. Again, they lost 2 men right here. That's it. Made the charge a little bit more chaotic. Let's get these units back, especially our spearmen. And take out some of these ranged units back here. This unit here is giving us some trouble. This is the cavalry unit that is a bit scary. The Gallic late heavy cavalry. But we also have our auxiliary Gallic cavalry, so should be fine dealing with this. Reinforcements are almost in position now. Lots of cavalry on this side. And we'll move them a little bit closer to our current force. I don't think they'll be here in time to help with this fight. Some enemy cavalry disengaged over here. We're gonna make sure we stop them, at least with 1 unit. I should have let them continue running, and we'll also use these spearmen that are coming back. Alright, so our course Prima is struggling in the center, holding off a massive amount of troops right there. Which does mean that they are less staffed than other places. We're gonna move our veterans over here into this position. I think we're also going to use our general here in the center. If we're already using Praetorians, might as well get them into melee. And we'll run into the center here with our cavalry, and also we'll use our general for a quick inspire and make sure that we're pushing. And let's go for this. Maybe we can cause a mass rout here, spread out our units a little bit. Kind of winning on the left side here. I do want to make sure that these units here don't return. Let's take a moment to attack these ranged units back here, these hunters, before the reinforcements arrive. These are heavy skirmishers, run in there too. Some units routing here, some legionaries on the side, which is okay. It's fine. Some of our legionaries here are definitely suffering in the center. Again, the enemy infantry at this point of the game is pretty powerful. Yeah, even the Gallic infantry. Yeah, these guys are quite powerful. As you can see, the Argoi King Itoi getting a decent amount of kills and holding for very long against our legionaries. You saw what legionaries do to some lesser infantry units. So the Argoi are the first real challenge we're facing in a while. Okay, so we formed a nice hoplite phalanx here, and unfortunately we're getting flanked now by these Oathsworn, so we're gonna try and attack that with our Celto-Hellenic infantry. It's like thorax infantry. Make sure we get these units in there as well. We use this unit to target the Oathsworn, but this unit can flank around a little bit more. We'll move these guys into this gap right here. So this is all closed. And there's not much left of the enemy right here. There's some warband there. And there's some Argoi trying to flank around. We'll use 2 cavalry units to take those guys out. I think we might be able to push through the center here. There's kind of a gap. There's not much going on right here. But then again, this side is completely routing, so it's already over. We'll use some of the infantry here to support the Alpine Spearmen, who are hopelessly outmatched against the Argoi. But together with the cavalry, this shouldn't take too long. Some Oathsworn desperately trying to stop our cavalry here in the back. Make sure we target this warband. Split up our cavalry again a little bit. It's too easy to just stop all of our cavalry with like some units if we blob them up like this. Where you ideally want to spread them out. Alright, we're moving our legionary javelin forward as well. And I think that's pretty much it. There we go. Alright. So overall, pretty epic battle. Some of our infantry really struggled against the Gauls, against some of the Argoi, Soldoroi, and so on. But they're doing decently well. You have to remember that these are just basic legionaries, right? And the fact that they are holding off noble enemy infantry is pretty admirable. And that's another 2 Celtic armies beaten, although they have some units left. Ooh. The Atrebates declaring war on us. I hope that the Nervi aren't going to join. We're not going to call our allies once more, as they are just too far away to be of help. Alright, Nervis didn't join. I'm confused because the Atrebates were happily client states for quite a while, now randomly declare war on us. They obviously sense their chance to free themselves of our yoke. Okay, we're going to move our armies here to the border, as I think it's time for us to push into Burdigala now that we've defeated these 2 armies. We can chase these guys down with our more healthy army. Alright, move these guys close to Burdigala. I'm not going to attack that. And these guys we can take out. We do have night attack on this army, so we can probably take out the army that escaped to Burdigala as well. One of the reasons why night attack is just great to have. Get them out of the way. And then I think we can immediately start sieging Burdigala with this army too, as they are very well suited to that, using auxiliary units. I think that's what we should do. Siege this place, and then we can move armies in support. So these guys are pretty healthy. They actually already got a bit of reinforcement. There shouldn't be much at Nemossos. There's 1 army and a little bit. And then next turn we can move in the other 2 armies that are down here in Spain at the minute. Meanwhile, these guys are fully replenished. So I think we'll move them close to Nemossos. And move one of these armies here down. And then we'll use these to attack Nemossos. Meanwhile, we could push up into this territory. However, now that the Atrebates declare war on us, I'm a bit more cautious. Let's see if we can't convince them to Okay,
Speak
well,
ill slowly, and I may feed
that
your
was
tongue to
pointless,
the
wasn't it?
dogs.
They want to give us military access. Let's ask for some payment. Welcome back to Rome 2 diplomacy, huh? Alright, well.
Oh, my people, I accept.
That wasn't exactly the smartest move I've ever seen, but that means we can push in here without too much of a problem.
Waiting for orders.
Might obviously still be armies of gold over here, so I have to tread carefully, make sure we don't get ambushed. But taking this place shouldn't take too long, and then we can move to Namnetom and Uliobona just as we planned, while we also take these places. Now, I do think this is a good spot to end this episode, as we had a decent amount of battles now, and we've made some good progress. Basically defeated the Arverni. I mean, there's not much resistance left. We have some Arverni armies here or there, but for the most part, legionary pair armies are stomping through. We have these guys taking out Nemossos, we have these guys taking out Bodigala in support, these two coming in. Might not even need that, depending on what this army does. If this army attacks us over here, then I'm gonna take these two armies and move them over to Brigantium, and then we can sort of sandwich this army down here. Meanwhile, down here in Egypt, we also have 4 armies ready to attack, and we can probably recruit another one at Euphronta. Plenty of manpower, and we have some recruitment facilities, so we can get like a local African auxiliary army, and we'll do that in the next episode. And pretty much be able to run all the way through Libya and then Egypt, as there doesn't seem to be much military resistance still. There's a lot of fleets, which we have to be aware of. There's actually 4 fleets right here on screen right now, so that's a bit of a problem. We'll probably keep our own fleets defensive, and I might actually try and recruit another fleet before we even attack the Egyptians, just to make sure that they're not taking our settlements out. This will allow us to push through to Syria, which is then, after we have Gallia, our last victory condition, and that'll be the end of this campaign. It's dragged on for very long, or that's because I've not been uploading as frequently as I wanted to, but this time around we had winter holidays in the middle, so I was on the North Sea, and couldn't actually record. I definitely want to speed that up, and that's all down to me. Anyways, I hope you're still enjoying this series. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.